Good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock on Tuesday, the 12th of May, 2020. And it's time for a beer with the Old Growler. I'm the Old Growler, Pete LaFrance. Glad to have you with us. Boy, here it is, 5 o'clock. And this is the 37th Old Growler. Glad you were able to make it and drop by. And it's the 57th day of what they call Pause New York, whereas they have shelter in place, I believe it's called, or whatever. And so that is what we have been doing for 57 days. And since they've closed down the pubs, bars, and taverns of New York and many other places, that would be where I would probably be this time of day. And as a journalist covering the beverage industry and the hospitality industry for 35, 40 years, well, I spend a good deal of time in pubs, bars, restaurants, brew pubs, talking to beverage managers, etc., etc. But as I say, I also spend a little bit of time bending elbows with my good buddies. And since I can't do that, well, I figured I'll just do it on here. I mean, this is I've invited a lot of folks. So if gone on to all the lists that I know and have sent out alerts that we're going to do it. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So enough of that. Let's see if I can. I didn't get a chance to go to the ale house today to pick up a growler. I've got something in the fridge, though, that I think will wet my whistle to start out with. And it's a Narragansett. Oh, boy. I'll tell you. Hi, neighbor. I'll have a Gansett. All right. Well, cheers. Well, that's a Gansett, all right. That's what it is. Rather brilliant, warm, almost summer afternoon. I haven't been out yet today. Well, yes, I did. Walked across the Brooklyn Bridge and back. So that was my exercise for the day so far. I might go out a little bit later. I don't know. But greetings, Mary. Hi, how are you? Oh, we've got 3 folks visiting today. Why? Well, to all 3 of yous, cheers. Well, things get dull. I'll open up the Descent, and as you can see, this little baby's got some dust on it. It's been around a while. This is the Dissident 2010 Reserve from the Deschutes Brewery in Bend, Oregon. It's a sour brown ale brewed with cherries, and it says it's best after November 1st, 2011. So they expect you to cellar this, and it's 10.5% alcohol by volume, so it's almost a wine. It's going to be fun to try and taste that, huh? Let's see, and I'm not going to end stream, no. But, oh boy, yes sir, Bob. Oh, cheers. I will confess that I didn't. Today's Old Growler is pretty much ad lib, except for the tasting. Didn't get a chance to put stuff together today. As you can see from the Gansett can, I didn't get a chance to go and visit the Henry Street Ale House and get myself a growler. And I've been having a little problem with the phone. I got one of these here things, iPhone. It's been giving me grief, so call to customer service, I'm sure, is in order. But It's disconcerting. I mean, first of all, you take my bars away from me, and now you're screwing with my phone. And a little while, what's it? A couple of days ago, it was screwing with my computer. So I tell you, it's I'm beginning to be paranoid. I think that's what it is, paranoid. But all right, let's see what we got here. Oh, Jesus, these are old notes too. I mean, from talking about the growth of the beginnings of the microbrew and brew pub business. Well, that was something. When they were just starting out. It was a fad, of course. That's what everybody says. Just a fad. Nobody's going to pay nobody's going to pay more than $1 for a can of beer or a bottle of beer. That's the way it is. But quality and buying into the concept. Small breweries, microbreweries, brew pubs. There's the concept there of that this is the person, you can meet the person who made the beer, and you're in their home, their place, and it's a sense of knowing where something comes from and how it's made and who makes it. For people that are interested in anything at all, I mean, if you're interested in architecture or anything, you want to know more about it, and you want to visit with the people that are the experts, and you'd like to listen to lectures about it, whatever. And it's the same thing with beer and the conception that the perception that you have met the person who has crafted this beer. And the word crafted, of course, is a wonderful word. It means that someone has taken time and effort to work on something, to present it, rather than just punching it out. I'm sure that, greetings, Monica. Good to see you. Thank you very much. And it's it's similar to handmade clothes. When you have a suit that's hand tailored for you. I remember there was a fellow, I believe he had a long last name, so I'm pretty sure he was Greek, but or Turkish possibly. But he would hang out have lunch at the Broom Street Bar and Grill, or Ken's Broom Street Bar. I call it the office. Still call it the office, because that was where I used to be able to take phone calls, and I think I had some mail delivered there too a couple of times. Tourists sent postcards back from wherever they were and addressed it to me at the Broom Street. But anyways, he would come in for lunch, and Jimmy Gagne, the bartender, God rest his soul, was interested in a suit, and he found out that I think Nicky was the guy, what we called him anyway. And he said, I asked him, he said, he found out that he was a tailor, and he ran a tailor's, he made suits. So he said to him, geez, I'd really like to have a suit, made for me. How much do you think it would be? And he says, well, what do you want? And he said, well, I have a serge, maybe a blue serge, or maybe he had some kind of other material mentioned. And so the tailor looked at him up and down, just gave a rough look as to how his size and the whole thing. And he said, well, that'll be around $1,500. $1,500 for a suit. Now, if it's handmade for you and it is made just for you, I can understand that. And the quality and the quantity of the material and the craftsmanship that it takes to make a suit, for a tailor to do that. That's what you're paying for. I often, when I was doing interviews, or when I was particularly in restaurants, talking to managers, and then would stop into the bar there to have a drink and talk with the customers, see what they thought of the place. You would always hear that, geez, the prices are really high in this restaurant, particularly for the food. I mean, you could get the same food in a grocery store and cook it yourself. And yeah, you could, but I'm pretty sure you're not a qualified chef, and I'm pretty sure that you would probably it up. So uh, that's what you're paying for, and as well as the ambiance and the service and the whole role. In fact, uh, I'm pretty much convinced that people don't go to restaurants for the food. People go to restaurants to feel special. Because when you went into a restaurant, you felt special. You were greeted. Uh, you had the person to sit you, the host or hostess to sit you at the table, and you had the wait staff there, and you had the bus boys, and uh, all of this. You were treated special, and even in neighborhood restaurants, you were still you were people knew your name, and you were special. You had friends there on staff, and some of the other barfly customers. I mean, that was what it was like. So you're not, yeah. It's hard to duplicate a bar. Well, I mean, you can put a wet bar. We've got, in fact, a collection of liquors and bitters and other things to go to make cocktails, uh, but it's not a bar. It lacks the people. So that's what. Anyways, I've ruminated enough. It is time for the tasting. Now, the Dissident has been put out by Deschutes, and I'll have some information about the product in the information box below, content box, I guess what they call it. But we're going to get down to business here. Now, for those of you who have been watching before, you know the game. This all is trying to recreate what we have done, what I have done in many of the other videos that are on this channel. Take a look at the particular ones that are tastings at the Henry Street Ale House, and we would do that on Thursdays, and we would taste to 2 or 3 beers, and we would see if they met expectations. And what the premise is you take a bottle or a can of beer, and sometimes we had some spirits drop by, but what we would read the label, and then as a consumer, we would have expectations, and then we pour it out and see if it meets expectations, and some of them do, and some of them don't. But let's take a look at this one a little more thoroughly. There it is, and as I say, you can see the dust on there. Boy, that's 10 years worth of dust. All right. Well, the name of it, the Dissident, 2010 Reserve, Deschutes Brewery in Bend, Oregon. Let's see what's. Oh, good. They've got some good stuff to read here. Okay. Every once in a while, you just have to go against the grain, not to mention the yeast. Introducing our wildest brew yet, the Dissident, a distinctive Belgian-style brown ale fermented with wild yeast. We have to isolate this brew so as not to influence the others. Otherwise, we just might have an anarchy on our hands. So are you ready to break convention? Okay, well, they're really excited about this. And over here, it tells me that if I'm pregnant, I shouldn't drink beer. And 1 pint, 6 fluid ounces, 10.5% alcohol by volume. And I think I saw also mentioned earlier, the best after November 1st, 2011. So they were expecting you to at least keep this thing for a year. And with the high alcohol content, it's probably very vinous, wine-like. All right. Well, let's see how easy it is. As you can see, it's got one of those cork or wax finished tops, so it might be a little difficult to get into, but we're going to give it a shot. Now, what am I expecting? Well, boy, I'm expecting a thick, almost sherry or port wine flavored type of a beverage, but probably, well, I know for damn sure it's probably not going to be, go this way. It's not going to be very effervescent, that's for sure. Trying, boy, this is a tough one to get open. Okay. Just got right up. Whoa, boy. Got wax all over the place. Wax is poetic. Wax is the bottle. Oh, it's got to be freaking worth it. Oh, that's nice. 2 layers of wax. No, but maybe that was a pull tab. Wouldn't dare do that to me, would they? Boy, this is a rat to get into. Well, let me try it from the top. Oh, there we go. Okay, looks like we've got a nice break here. All right. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, this is a, I'm sure there's probably an easier way to have done this, but naturally, if there's an easy way to do it, well, LaFrance isn't going to find it. And not only that, but LaFrance probably does things backwards. That's a family trait. All right, all right. We have a lot of wax. Okay, come on. Let's get our, let's get our glass. Here we go. We've got that right there. And we've got our church key right here. Whoa, there's a little hiss coming out of there. Whoa! I'm not going to show you that terrible stuff. It's a gusher. Here it is. Pour it back, dripping all over. My word. There's some spark in the old, it's a sour brown ale brewed with cherries. So, I don't know how to say. It's kind of a wine looking glass and thing and stuff. Well, when I said wine, I wasn't kidding. Okay, it's got some body to it. Not as much as I was expecting. The cherries. There have been a couple of tastings that we've done where the fruit, as it got older, disappeared. So I am pleasantly surprised that the cherries really are quite evident. And there is a bit of a bite to the tongue. And if you rub the tongue across your palate, it elicits some hop tang, but it's more of a cherry type of flavor. That's for sure. Mm. Certainly is alcoholic. You can feel that. But it's not as I would say not as thick, viscous, not as viscous, yeah, as I was expecting. I guess when I hear stout, well, it's not a stout though, Peter. It's a brown ale. All right. Well, that hits it right on the head. This is a really nice aged brown ale. Oh, a shitload of it, boy, that's for sure. So, well, cheers. Oh, we can't swig that one. It's warming your tummy up. That's what it's doing. But anyways, did it meet expectations? Yes, it does. The Dissident 2010 Reserve meets expectations. In fact, it exceeds it a little bit because it was so effervescent. I wasn't expecting that at all. I'm going to look and see if there's anything written on or printed in the bottle, on the glass itself. Sometimes there's markings, but no. It just says 2010 Reserve, 10-year-old beer. Well, we've had the Thomas Hardys. They were 20-something years old, I think. Yeah. It was 92. So it's I know I've got another one hiding over there. That's an 86. Yeah. So we got some old beers, but we also got some new ones too. Or brand new, not brand new, but modern anyway. There are a couple of the breweries are sending samples for next week. Although I'm thinking about next week maybe doing all Brooklyn beers. That would be fun. It would give me a chance to go out and for the ones that I can't purchase at the bodega, maybe drop by the brewery itself, because I'm sure many of them have curbside service, particularly for their cans and crowlers and stuff like that. So maybe we'll do that next week. We'll have a tour of Brooklyn. We'll have a couple of beers from Brooklyn breweries every day and sample those. I think that might be fun. We'll put a little focus on it as well, and maybe a week after that do German or Dutch beers. And German beers are a lot easier to find different types. There are different brands. Dutch one's Heineken. We did the Heineken yesterday, I think. Yeah. It's tough to keep track of because they're all the days. It's tough to keep track of the days. It really is. There used to be things that would differentiate, that you could say, well, that's this day I did this and then that. But it's a new way of thinking. But let's see. What else is new and exciting? Well, I'm not too sure. In fact, I really don't want to know what's new and exciting. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Peter. You want to know. You want to know. It's one of those things that you always ask is why. And then, my real favorite question, why is always fun, because you can, you're a brewer. Well, why? You're making this beer. Well, why? And you can get the story behind it. And that's always a tool of the trade, I guess, but a simple thing. But the other little phrase that I particularly enjoy using is, and then what? Somebody comes up to me, oh boy, I've got this, that, and this is really, and we're gonna do this. And I'm gonna say, yeah, well, that's fine, it's fine. And then what? Well, yeah. And then what? Yeah, okay. Open up all the restaurants immediately with full staff and half staff, and crank up your kitchen, and you're getting all ready, and then what? Well, one of the interesting things that I've seen in Nation's Restaurant News and a couple of other news services that have to do with the hospitality industry is in reopening, of course, there is a financial balance to work up, and it has to be a new way of looking at how business is being done. Takeaway is certainly very popular. But also the fact, or also a procedure by which you change. I wouldn't say change your menu, but you take your your most popular menu items, and you kind of drop the rest of them. You cut your menu down to maybe 4 or 5 dishes. Some place down in Washington D.C. is doing one where they have the plate. It's a plat du jour, the plate of the day. This is if you want to order up to, well, this is what we're doing, and it cuts down on waste. It cuts down on it makes it easier for inventory control, that type of thing. But if you go to have staff and you've got your kitchen cranked up and you're back into what used to be the way things supposedly were, what if nobody shows up? And then what? Boy. So there's always that. There's wonderful enthusiasm. I understand that, and particularly about projects. Somebody's got an idea for a business, or somebody's got an idea for a particular business, or something to do life-changing. They're going to change their life. Or they're going to do this to make things better. They're going to start working out every day. And then what? Well, then I'll be fit. And then what? So, was it Field Marshal Owen Rommel, Second World War? When it was going well for the Germans, and not so well for Poland and France, but let's go up and dance. But the generals, some of the major generals, approached Rommel saying that they could take New York City. Field Marshal, we could take New York City. And Rommel just said, yeah. And then what? So that's one of my favorite. Okay, Dave, greetings. I mean, if you're nihilistic, you basically assume nothing matters in the first place. Well, there's always a good beer. That's the. I mean, I'm not totally nihilistic, but there's always another beer, the next beer, and then what? So those are my two. Why and then what? Those are my two favorite little questions. Oh boy. Grace, we've got Mary, we've got Monica, and video downloads crashed. They told me this before, and so well, I just heard from Dave, so I mean it mustn't mean that I've lost signal. Okay, so we got Mary, we've got Monica, we got Dave. We have somebody else hiding there. So greetings to whoever you are. Glad to see you here, and I hope you've enjoyed the tasting, the Dissident 2010 Reserve. Boy, that has got a lot of. It's a lasting flavor, that's for sure. But it is heavy duty. I mean, this is something that you could probably share with about 3 people or 4 people. That's for sure. But it was fun. It was great. But since I'm thirsty and not tasting, I'm going to switch back to the lightweight, to the Gansett. Oh boy, that's better. A little queasy there, boy. That was heavy duty. I would be the Dissident if I drank too much of that. An angry young man. Well, it can't be an angry young man. An angry old man. So much for Billy Joel. But anyways, so as I said earlier in the program, I was less than prepared today to present a really dynamic Old Growler. I'm getting a little tired. I think it's part of it. After 57 days, my God, you got to be a little tired. And the 37th Growler, putting this together for 37 weekdays in a row. It's been fun, that's for sure. And I'm looking forward to more of them. But it's gonna, you got to get psyched. That's what it is. be not so nihilistic, I guess. That's what it is. Not wallowing in ennui. So that's what we do. We plan for next week, that's for sure. We've got 3 more days in this week, and I'm pretty sure I can come up with something. But next week, I think, is going to be the Brooklyn breweries. Get out and drive. Well, I don't drive around. My wonderful wife, she drives me to drink, and I'm forever grateful to that. And especially to the brew pubs and to the brewers, the breweries of Brooklyn next week. So let's see. I managed to eke out an entire 30 minutes here with the Old Growler. I hope you folks were entertained and enjoyed it. I guess this is probably going to be one of the shorter ones out there. Yeah. And since as I say, I didn't script this terribly well today, I don't want to put out a bad product. I'm just going to say thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching, and for those of you who are watching this on a day other than Tuesday, the 12th of May, thank you for watching this far, and if you would, please subscribe. I would appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up. I would also appreciate that, and click on the alert bell there, and that way you won't miss any of the Old Growlers. And, I'm certainly going to be around for the next 4 days, for this weekend, next week. So when they start to open up the bars, the Old Growler will go off to the bars. But until then, enjoy life, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening, and for those of you who are surfing through here, I'm glad you stopped by. And as I say, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, thanks a lot, and I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Cheers.